Hi everyone, this is Peter here. I hope you're all having an amazing day. Today we're going to look at the latest version of the Luminar mobile photo editor. This video is sponsored by Skylum software. They develop Luminar Neo as well, which I've been using on a regular basis for a couple of years now. This newest version of Luminar for mobile has some really cool new additions, which makes the editing process easier. For example, your edits are automatically saved when you leave the app. iCloud syncing makes switching between devices when you are editing on the go effortless, and they also improved the user interface. But what I'm really excited about is the introduction of full RAW photo support. As I only shoot RAW files in camera, this was a must for me. I've got 3 RAW files ready for some editing, so let's jump into it. Let's go with the portrait of the beautiful rainbow lorikeet here. This is a RAW file, which you can see in the develop module just right there. I also forgot to mention that the app fully supports the Apple Pencil, which is pretty cool. Anyway, let's look at the user interface. On the left side, you can see this semi-circular interface. Gives you 3 different options. This one gives you the option to apply different presets. You can just scroll and then look at, for example, this one, or apply that one. That one actually looks pretty decent. Gives you a bit of punch. But let's just go back and not apply that just yet. So these are the presets. This one is the sky replacement tool, which we're gonna look at a little bit later on when we edit the landscape shot that I picked. And then this is the main where the main editing section is, with all the different tools visible on the right side. Let's try and go from top to bottom. What I really like about these is also gives you a really cool tactile feedback. I'm going to turn the volume up a little bit. I'm not sure whether you guys can hear it, but this feels just so cool. This enhanced AI, I think, is just adding a little bit more punch to the image, increases textural detail, some clarity, small and medium details, and changes the overall exposure slightly and brightness and such. We're not going to use that. And let's go to the next one, the developer module. At the top you can see the highlights, which I can increase, and then if you tap it twice, then it goes back to the default 0. The same goes with the white point, increasing the white point. Don't want to touch that, and then I'm going to slightly change the shadows at 15 points, and the same goes for the blacks. I don't want to touch that, so just tap it twice. Here you can see the contrast slider. This is a little bit too much. Maybe we add an extra 15 points to that, and then I'm not going to change the temperature. You can go to cold and all the way up to 50,000 Kelvin. Double tap it, and then we got it back to the default. I was just mucking around a little bit, and this one is just the tint. Let's do the same, just leave it at the same. Okay, so that's the develop module. Let's go to the next one, the saturation. I really like that you can use to axis the Y and X axis to change the vibrance and saturation in one move. The vibrance goes to 100 if you move it up, and then to -100 the bottom. That is actually really cool, because I removed the background and then created this really interesting separation between the background and the subject. And then on the x-axis you can move the saturation all the way down to -100, and with the same technique, just double tapping, you can go back to the default. We're gonna add a little bit of vibrance, like +15, and the saturation of 18 and 15 respectively. I think that looks pretty cool before, and then after maybe it's a little bit too much. I'm gonna bring it down 14 and 12, so before and then after. All right, with the structure AI, I think if I zoom in, you can just see that it adds a little bit more contrast, and I think it slightly changes the sharpness as well, the overall sharpness. For the relighting, this is a really cool tool. You can actually relight the image, change the lighting of the background, and also you can increase the brightness of your subject or the subjects that are in the foreground. I don't want to alter that though in this instance. I think these are just fine the way they were before, but this might be really handy, or it is actually really handy when you are shooting portraits and you want to change the overall lighting of the scene. I want to actually apply some vignette. If you push it to the right, it's reversed, and then just bring it down a little bit, maybe this much. This actually works in this instance, I believe. I'm not going to look at this skin AI and body AI because that is only relevant to portraits. We'll look at the skin AI with our next example, a portrait of my niece. With the landscape tool, you can change the foliage, which is pushed all the way up here in this instance, but it also increases the vibrance of those tones in the bird, so I'm not gonna use that. It has a golden air enhancer as well. This is actually pretty cool. Maybe we're gonna use it and then push it to like 30. And this tool on the right side is essentially the haze slider, and we don't want to touch that. And then we have curves adjustments here. The global curves adjustment, you can push it up a little bit, the highlights, and then punch it in. Maybe it's a little bit too much. That's better. So before and after, and then if you're not happy with it, you can just revert back to the original. And you can also do in different channels, you know, red, green, and blue channels to customize it even further. Let's have a look at the second last option here, which is details. Let's zoom in and I'll show you what changes or how it alters the image. With the small details, let's punch it all the way to 100. You can see that it looks a little bit over sharpened. So let's just move it down to maybe plus 17. So before, after, a little subtle change actually works. I'm going to do the same for the medium details. So before and then after, and then these are the large. Let's push it all the way to 100. That is too much. We just maybe add how much? Maybe another 5 points. So let's have a look before, after, and then with the sharpness slider, let's just punch it to 100%. You can see that it just looks way over sharpened. So I like to do just subtle changes. So plus 7. So before and then after, I think that looks quite natural. And then the very last option is the monochrome, where you can choose between 6 options: the cyan channel, the red channel, the yellow channel, and the green channel, the magenta, and then finally the blue. For this portrait, this would definitely not work, as the colors of this beautiful rainbow lorikeet is what makes the image stand out. And then right at the bottom, you also have color filters. Where you can just add the filter instantly and then change, you know, the overall look of the image. So there are heaps of different options to choose from here, and you can also add that to your favorites if you want. And if you want to go back, you can just tap the icon on the left again, go back here, and then it takes you back to the main page. Okay, so what else have we got here? Let's crop this image just a little bit. Within the crop tool, you can straighten the image if you want to. You don't want to do that. You can rotate the image with this option, and then you can also flip the image either horizontally or vertically, and then we can also use freeform cropping or square, and it gives you the option of Instagram, Facebook post, Instagram stories, or Facebook cover, which is pretty cool. Okay, let's just crop in a little bit like that. That's better. Alright, we are finished with this edit now. We can go to share and then save a copy, which creates a copy of this photo, and then just saves it into your gallery. So this is the raw file, and this is the edited. Alright, let's have a look at the next photo, which is a portrait of my niece. Not gonna change much here. Maybe let's just go to the develop module first and then increase the contrast a little bit, maybe +8. Change the temperature slightly, make it a little bit warmer, and then increase the white point just slightly. That's good. Not gonna change much. Maybe the shadow detail. No, I don't want to do that. And then we go to the saturation, add a bit more saturation. Let's go to the Skin AI tool, which is really cool. And I'm gonna zoom in so you guys can see how the image changes when we use these sliders. On the left side, if we push this slider all the way up to, let's say, 100%, and then we disable it, you can see how much it has removed, you know, the for example, the dark shadows around her eyes and the creases and slight imperfections on her skin, and it still maintains, you know, a natural look. I'm gonna pull it down just to around maybe 50% or 50. That looks really nice, decent enough. And then in the middle, you can choose the blemish removal off or on. We're gonna put it on. In her case, not much changes. And then on the right side, you can also remove shine. But as I was using natural light here, the shine was not too bad. But if you use, for example, a flash and then you don't have decent diffuser, then it can create, you know, uneven lighting on her face, and this tool would be really beneficial in, you know, just getting rid of all those unnecessary or unwanted highlights. Let's move that back to the default. Maybe a little bit of a curves adjustment here. Maybe just move it a little bit slightly up, and just down a little bit before, after. I kind of like that. And then the other thing, the Relight AI, let's do that in this instance. I'll push it all the way up, and then this one as well, just to see how much it changes. And then you can also change the separation. I want to show you what's happening. I'm going to push it down all the way, so you can see the transition changing, you know, between the foreground and the background. You want to keep it as natural as possible, so we're obviously not gonna alter it too much. Let's go back to the original. Let's increase it slightly. So this is before, this is after. Save a copy. It's done. And I'm gonna look at this body AI tool in a mere moment. Alrighty. So that is after all the editing, and this is before. Alright, let's have a look at the body AI tool. The slider on the bottom changes the abdomen, but because the abdomen is luckily not visible in this instance, it doesn't affect the image, and this one is just the overall shape. I can make myself a little bit wider in the midsection, and then pushing it all the way to the right makes me unnatural slim, but I think it does a really cool job, you know, in terms of making it look as natural as possible with this specialized liquify tool. Alright, let's do a bit more editing with our last image, which is a landscape shot that I took at Princess Pier in Melbourne. I really want to show you this super cool feature, the sky replacement tool. It gives you plenty of options to choose from, for example, blue sky, stormy sky, and the lightning sky. This is my favorite. This is what we're gonna be working with, but you can also opt for sunrise skies. They all look really natural and blend in with the original image really well. Twilight, these are really nice as well. Dramatic sunsets, this looks beautiful as well, works really well with this particular image, and the night sky as well with the aurora. Anyway, let's go back to the lightning sky. This is what we're gonna be working with. If you slide to the left with this little tool at the top, you can change, you know, the how you wanna place the sky, zoom in or slightly move it to the left, right, just horizontally, vertically, or zoom in. Yeah, anyway, we're gonna go back to the default and then move to these sliders. I'm gonna zoom in with this first one. You can change the global transition. I have to zoom in even further so you guys can see what's happening, so it makes the transition more natural. I'm gonna bring it down so it's a little bit darker. I think that looks really decent. And then here you can close the gaps as well. Let's go here so you can see what's happening. Here you can close the gaps between the original, you know, elements of the image and the replaced sky. I'm gonna just use it at the, or leave it at the default, and then fix details. And is essentially doing the same with slightly different techniques applied to these elements. I'm gonna just leave it at the default as well, but you can customize it really well and then optimize, you know, the transition. And then the last one here, you can change the overall brightness. I'm gonna just leave it at the default, and then the warmth, I'm gonna actually move it to the cold end. But then we'll have to match the temperature of the foreground as well. And with the defocus slider, you can change the sharpness of the replace sky. I'm just gonna leave it at 0. So let's zoom back out, and now we're gonna go back to the develop module and change the temperature, and then move it down to really cold. That's a bit too much, and maybe leave it like that. So this is before and this is after. I think this looks really nice. By matching the color temperatures of the replaced sky in the foreground, I think we managed to create something that looks quite natural. By adding a bit of a vignette effect, I think we can create a little bit more gloomy, more dramatic frame as well. With the landscape module, this adds a bit more color. That actually looks really cool. I like that. Just a bit more vibrance. That looks nice. And we're just gonna go to share, and then make sure that you don't click on the save to photos, because then it replaces the original raw file, which you can revert within the app itself on the iPad Photos app. So instead I'm gonna just hit save a copy, which creates a copy of the photo. And let's have a look at the image before and then after. Before and after. I hope you enjoyed this video. I think it's a really decent app with some very easy to use editing tools. Obviously it has some room to grow, but I'm sure that the developers will keep listening to us and will keep improving the app with future updates. By the way, if you'd like to just try Luminar Mobile for free, you can do that. You will find a link in the description. And if you end up purchasing, you can choose between different subscription options or go for a perpetual license. Anyway, thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and catch you all very soon in the next one.